Two youngsters by name Nduka and Nnamdi were born in a small village in Anambra state of Nigeria. Their families were poor, struggling to make ends meet. The boys grew up amidst poverty and hardship, with little guidance or support from their parents. They were best friends from childhood, often seen together, playing and dreaming of a better future. As they grew older, their dreams were overshadowed by their harsh realities. They were constantly reminded of their poverty and the limited opportunities available to them. This led them to the streets, where they started picking pockets and stealing to survive. By the time they were teenagers, Nduka and Nnamdi had become skilled pickpockets. Their favorite spots were crowded markets and bus stops. They would work in tandem, with Nnamdi distracting the victim while Nduka skillfully lifted wallets and phones. One day, they spotted a wealthy-looking man counting a wad of cash at a market store. Nnamdi approached the man, pretending to ask for directions, while Nduka slipped his hand into the man's pocket and retrieved the wallet. They quickly disappeared into the crowd, their hearts pounding with excitement and fear. Despite their success, they never gave any money to their parents. They feared their parents would question the source of their sudden wealth and possibly involve the authorities. Instead, they used their earnings to indulge in small luxuries, new clothes, gadgets, and occasional nights out. However, they soon realized that this way of life wouldn't lift them out of poverty. They wanted more, much more. Their opportunity came when they met an older boy named Uche, who introduced them to cybercrime. Uche taught them how to use computers and the internet to scam unsuspecting victims. They learned how to create fake profiles, send phishing emails, and hack into bank accounts. Within a few years, Nduka and Nnamdi had moved from petty thieves to successful cybercriminals, raking in significant amounts of money. Despite their newfound wealth, Nduka and Nnamdi were not satisfied. They wanted even more power and money, and they were willing to do anything to get it. It was at this point they were introduced to a witch doctor, known for performing dark rituals to enhance the success of cybercriminals. The witch doctor promised them unimaginable wealth and power, but at a great cost. Nduka and Nnamdi agreed to the terms and began performing the rituals, known as Yahoo+. These rituals included bathing at midnight in the market square and cemetery, making human sacrifices, and adhering to strict rules set by the native doctor. The sacrifices were horrific and dehumanizing. They were required to abduct young girls and boys from neighboring villages. The children were taken to a secluded shrine deep in the forest, a place filled with stench of death. The witch doctor would prepare the altar, drawing symbols with the blood of previous victims. The rituals were performed at midnight. Nduka and Nnamdi were forced to participate in every gruesome act. The witch doctor chanted incantations in a language unknown to them, his eyes glowing with a sinister light. The children were bound and gagged, their eyes wide with terror. The witch doctor would then proceed with the ritual, using sharp knives to draw blood, which he collected in a large, ancient bowl. The final act was the sacrifice, where the children's lives were taken in the most brutal manner. The screams echoed through the forest, but there was no one to hear or help. Nduka and Nnamdi's involvement in these acts left them deeply scarred, but their greed and the lure of wealth kept them bound to the witch doctor's demands. Another rule they had to follow was not to give people money directly but to give gifts instead. This was believed to prevent others from tapping into their wealth and power. Whenever they helped someone, it was with lavish gifts, cars, houses, and expensive gadgets, but never cash. They believed that this would keep their wealth intact and protect them from losing their fortune. Of course, as expected, Nduka and Nnamdi began living a life of excess. They bought luxurious cars, mansions, and designer clothes. They threw extravagant parties, traveling to exotic locations and flaunting their wealth on social media. They became the talk of the town, admired by some and envied by many. Despite their immense wealth, they never gave any money to their parents. They feared that their parents would question the source of the money, leading to unwanted scrutiny. Instead, they showered their families with expensive gifts, hoping to appease them without raising suspicions. Their lavish lifestyle, however, came at a great cost. The rituals they performed took a toll on their minds and bodies. They were haunted by nightmares and plagued by paranoia. They constantly feared that their secrets would be exposed or that the witch doctor's wrath would fall upon them if they failed to perform the rituals correctly. In a desperate attempt to end the nightmares and haunted spirits, they approached the witch doctor for a solution. He prescribed a terrifying remedy: they were to drink their mother's urine and feces. Desperate and terrified, they complied, but the act only deepened their sense of horror and guilt. Their nightmares intensified, and they began to lose their grip on reality. As time passed, the demands of the witch doctor became more extreme. Nduka and Nnamdi were required to make more frequent sacrifices and engage in even more dangerous rituals. Their once-tight bond began to fray as the stress and fear consumed them. One fateful night, the witch doctor instructed them to perform a ritual that involved bathing in the market square and cemetery simultaneously. They were warned that failure to complete the ritual would result in dire consequences. Desperate and afraid, they attempted the ritual but were interrupted by local villagers who had grown suspicious of their activities. Caught in the act, Nduka and Nnamdi were chased through the village. In their panic, they ran to the witch doctor for help, only to find that he had disappeared. Without the protection of the witch doctor, they were vulnerable. The villagers, outraged by the dark rituals and sacrifices, took matters into their own hands. Nduka and Nnamdi were captured and met a gruesome end at the hands of the villagers. The story of Nduka and Nnamdi serves as a stark reminder that the pursuit of wealth and power through dishonest and immoral means can lead to one's downfall. Their journey from petty thieves to cybercriminals and ultimately to participants in dark rituals highlights the dangers of greed and the consequences of making unethical choices. In the end, their lavish lifestyle and ill-gotten gains could not save them from the dire consequences of their actions. The story emphasizes the importance of integrity, hard work, and the understanding that true success cannot be achieved through shortcuts or immoral actions.